Other than that, we're good to go. Walls resigning. We got a lot of clips here to run, but let's start with Rob in New York. Rob, by the way, Tyler, next song, Bob Dylan, Times Are Changing. Got to play that. Next song, Bob Dylan, Times Are Changing. It's the great comeback, folks. If you're not fired up about what Trump did, I don't know what, you're comatose. You're absolutely, I got so much to talk about today. You're comatose. I'm telling you, this is the turnaround, and I'm pumped. Let's get to Rob in New York. Rob, line one, you're live.
Good morning, John. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Sixthmas because it's a huge holiday for the
I
left.
love that. I
You
love
know,
that.
and
Merry Sixthmas. That's great. You got my
and
callers come
and
up.
you know,
Hey, John, yesterday, I stole all your lines, and I was using on my TikTok and everything else. I stole your whole lines. Now I'm gonna have to steal. I gotta write all this down. Hang on. I gotta steal. What do you say? Happy J Sixmas.
no, Merry Sixthmas. Yeah.
Merry Sixmas.
So, no, John had some great stuff yesterday. It was wonderful. But I just wanted to say, I mean, this just shows you how mindless things are. Besides what you said, how you can catch, you could go back in time, and you don't have to go back that far to catch the left advocating for Maduro being removed and some of the loudest voices blasting Trump. But what I also find funny about Walls is besides he's blaming it on white supremacy, they're blaming it on Trump. You got people calling it a hoax. A hoax? If this is a hoax, why is the guy resigning? What? Who resigns if it's a hoax?
Look,
We had a
Rob.
hoax against Trump.
They
It's amazing.
have to protect. They have to protect their base, and their base is illegals that come in, steal money, get welfare, go on the dole, and turn into their army. I mean, that is what their base is. That's what they have to protect, and so that's what they're doing. I mean, you had actually people out in New York, in your city, yesterday. You had people out yesterday chanting with flags in New York, "Free Maduro." I mean, the guy's a murderer that has killed countless tens of thousands of our children, right? And they're out there saying, "Free Maduro." I mean, that's just what you're dealing with here.
There's got to be like a store somewhere that exchange one flag for another, free Palestine, then change that in, free Maduro. Next, they're going to be free the Ayatollah. I mean, these guys are sick.
They just
These,
exchange
these
flags.
guys are.
Free the Ayatollah.
I mean, I'm on a roll this morning because I mean the insanity. I'm just sitting here looking at this stuff, scratching my head. Where did this country go? Where did it go? And I'm like, we seriously cannot have people this dumb, but yet here we are.
Oh yeah,
in 2026.
Rob, they're dumb.
You know, and we have people now in New York. Well, wait, New York City's the fares just went up. The MTA fares on the buses and subways just went up to $3. Wait, Mandami said those were going to be free.
He's going to make it free.
Well, if you guys, if you understand the MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, it's a New York State agency. That's got to come through the state legislature, and I think there's 17 people in the panel. The mayor can scream all he wants. He doesn't control it. It's not a city agency, even though it operates mostly in New York City. So, but how do people miss that? Because you sign up to these slogans.
But he is doing the things he has power over. Let's get to cut one here, Tyler. Let's get to cut one. Here's Mandami has a tenant director. This is unbelievable. This is a person we heard from yesterday of the housing director. Now we're hearing from the tenant director, who says rent control alters the power dynamic between renters and who owns the building. The power dynamic. You own the building, you charge a rent. That is based on what you want to charge. And if the rent is too high, people will move out or they will not move in. So it's based on the market. But of course, they're communists, so they want to regulate. Now, rent control has been going on in New York City forever, right? Forever. So you're not going to change that. It's part of the fabric of New York City. You buy you buy multifamily housing and apartment building. You understand rent control is part of it. So that's going to go on forever. That's why these apartments just keep changing hands within families, because the rent is so much lower if it got grandfathered in. But let's get to cut one here. She says this is why rent control is so mandatory. Yesterday, we heard from the director who said the relationship between white people and their property in New York has to change. I don't know what has to change. The relationship between you and your property, you own it. You can't sell it now without 90 people signing off on it, and you have to offer it to the state of New York first, for the city first, because they might want to buy it and house illegals there for what they consider to be a fair market price, kind of like what they said Mar-a-Lago was worth $3 million when it's worth like $1 billion, right? So their fair market price, unbelievable. One, Tyler, roll it.
Democratically controlled public housing is really important, and that's why when Raquel is talking about the communities and that she's describing, that that's a created community where the people who are living there are like setting the agenda, and so people like home ownership because they like control, and that's been perverted by like deep racism and deep classism in our society. So like we have to not have a racist and classist society, and so that's like something we need to think about like deeply. But to me it's about control, and why rent control is really important is because rent control alters the power dynamic between renters and who owns the building. And
okay, so let me get this straight. If you own a building and you're renting it out, you're now racist. Home ownership, land ownership, building ownership is now racism, and they want to change and make it non-racism and fair by giving it to somebody that wants it for nothing. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, Rob. If you own property in New York City today, you are so screwed. If you're renting,
but what I don't understand,
if you're renting a business office, get out. If you own it, you can't get out. You can't sell it. You can't rent it. They're going to set the rates. The next thing they're going to do is set commercial rates, home and commercial rates. She basically said there, if you're a property owner in New York City, you are a racist. What does that have to do with race? You work hard, you buy something, now you're racist. And she says, we have to change that. This is beautiful, Rob. This is pure Marxism, Stalinism, communism, Engels. This is right in your face. Every communist should move there. Every single one in the United States should move there. The other thing he's going to do, I'll give you a week, is he's going to reiterate the fact they're a sanctuary city, and he's going to ask every illegal that feels under siege to come there. And he will feed them and house them with your money that he will confiscate. And that becomes his army. This guy is building an army right under our nose in New York City, and we're not getting it. This is an army, Rob. He's got 100,000 volunteers. He's not got billionaires funding NGOs to pay them. They will demonstrate every single thing he wants. He is building an army in New York City. You'll never take this guy out until they go bankrupt and run out of money and the checks bounce. Until the checks bounce, you're never going to take them out. And then there's going to be riots, Rob, like you've never seen. The riots in New York City are going to pale in comparison to anything you've ever seen, because it's coming. You give people all this stuff for free and then you take it away, they riot. Go ahead, Rob.
No, it's true, but I'm laughing because I have clients who are Black, Latino. They own property in New York City. Are they now white supremacists?
Yep.
I mean, this is.
You own property in New York City, you're basically a racist.
I mean, this is insane. I don't understand. But you're right that's what they will do, and this gets back to the point that I keep hammering many times when I call. We're focused on clickbaiters and fighting them and also the podcasters, and this guy is building an army. This guy's building an army in the largest city in the United States, and we're talking about Tucker and Candace and this one and that one. Priorities, guys, priorities. I mean, they're not even hiding it. You could see the videos of the stuff.
Rob, they don't
They're
want
not
to
even
hide it. They
hiding
don't
what
want
they're
to hide it.
doing.
They don't want to hide it. They want it right in your face. Look, I promised this year unvarnished truth and clarity. And so I've been ahead of the curve on everything, as you know. That's why those that tune me in understand this. I've been ahead of the curve on the clickbaiters. Now I'm ahead of the curve on his building an army in New York City. They know they cannot maintain power in a normal way. So they have to build a foot soldier group of paid activists that whatever they want, they will demonstrate. When you saw the signs yesterday in Brooklyn, free Maduro, in 6 months, times that by 1,000, because that's what you're going to get. Everything they want done, they are going to call on their protest army, their activist army, who is going to be paid by the NGOs to get out there and protest whatever it is they want, whether it's in front of the General Assembly or whatever. They'll be out there protesting in Albany, bust up there to get the free bus fare. It's going to go on and on and on and on. And when you try to take this guy out in 4 years, you're not going to be able to, because he's going to have another, 500,000 illegals there voting for him with his army. You will never take this guy out. He'll be there forever until finally the thing totally collapses. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it a decade ahead. That's what they're planning to do. This is their foothold to set up a communist nation right in New York City. And they lucked into it and they can't believe it. And they're not letting it go. Rob, thank you for your call. Merry Sixmas, Rob.
Yes.
Merry Sixmas. Oh, so funny. Pat in Rich Vegas, line 1. Pat, you're live in Richmond.
Good morning, John. I'm calling because there is that special election today for Senate District 15, okay? I was listening to John Thomas yesterday on another show. This election is more important than what I think a lot of people realize, because right now the Senate makeup in Richmond is 2019. Right. If John Thomas can win that seat, that would make it 2020. And when they put that vote up for the redistricting, he could stop it. He could be the one to stop it. And because it's a constitutional amendment, the lieutenant governor cannot break the tie. It can be stopped there.
There's not enough Republicans there, and they're going to get. They have a ground game that like beats us 50-1. And they're going to get their people out, and we have no ability to do that, coupled with the fact that we don't have enough Republicans there. I mean, that's the issue, Pat.
Well, but the thing is I have been getting calls and text messages from all across the state,
right,
asking me to vote for him, okay? John, when I went to early vote on Saturday, and I do live in a Democratic district, they said that the turnout was so low. So if we don't try, we don't stand a chance.
I agree with you 100%. If you're in the 15th district in Virginia, if you're in there, voting is tomorrow. Go out and vote for John Thomas. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, send the text, get everybody out that lives in the 15th district to get out and vote for John Thomas. And maybe we pull the upset and we can stop this egregious steal. Pat, you're absolutely correct.
If everybody that is Republican that listens to your show in the 15th district goes out and votes today, we stand a chance, because you've got a lot of people that listen. We just have got to, like you always say, get off our ass and do something.
That's right.
Rather than complain about the fact that it happened.
Well, give me the areas of Hashmi's district, her old district.
So there's 14 districts in South Richmond, and then there's 34 districts that encompass like the south part of Chesterfield County.
Right.
So, I mean, we got to at least try. This could be our answer to this redistricting.
Let's get a big
if
turnout
we can
today,
get him in.
and maybe we'll pull the upset and stop it in its tracks. Pat,
That's
thank you.
all we can do, but we got to do something.
Yeah, we just can't stand around. I agree with that. Pat, thank you.
So maybe if you could remind people throughout the day, get off your ass and do something.
What is it? It's District 15 or 16?
It's Senate District 15, and voting is today. And like I said, they told me at my poll place, which is normally when I go to vote, because I usually have to do it the last Saturday that they do early voting. They said turnout was like nothing.
Well,
so
maybe
I don't
we
know
can
if the Democrats
aren't.
I haven't gotten things from the Democrat this year. I've gotten postcards, text messages, phone calls from the Senate District 15, and then I also have a House of Delegate member who I'd love to see get in, but it's not as important as that Senate District 15.
Got it, Pat. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Have a great day. Tim in Henrico, line 2. Tim, you're live.
What is up, Godzilla? Happy New Year.
Happy J6 Tim in Virginia.
There you go. It falling back to West Virginia today and listening to you. Just wanted to check in, and my Lions finally got on the winning side of the season. Next year is always around the corner, right?
Jim, yes. I mean, look, it was a tough year to be a Lions fan. They really expected to get deep in the playoffs. A lot of people picked them to win the Super Bowl, and the wheels just came off the end of the season. And it was sad. And that's some injuries. Their defense collapsed. But there is next season. They still got Stafford. They still got a good core. But if you're a Lions fan, you've got to be very disappointed this season. I mean, if we were at the beginning of the season and we said, here's 3 teams that are not even going to make the playoffs, forget the Super Bowl, not make the playoffs, Lions, Chiefs, and Ravens. If I said that, people would have said, you're nuts. And that's kind of what happens. I mean, the NFL now, the parity in it because of the salary cap and other things, on any given Sunday. And so we'll see what happens. But I know you're a diehard Lions fan, and it was a tough season, no doubt.
Got to correct you though. Stafford got traded away to L.A. So we had Jared Goff. But
I meant Jared.
Hey,
Jared Goff. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Goff had a good season. Was not really his issue. Is your defense collapsed down the stretch. It started on Thanksgiving Day when you got blown out by the Packers. That's kind of what started it, and then you guys went downhill from there.
Yeah, we lost to LA. We lost to the Steelers at home. That was a heartbreaker. I think we were texting on that one. But anyway, so you got congrats on getting all the candidates together. And I guess my big question for you is, you get all these guys want to be party chairman in the room. What is Godzilla's number one question of what he would like to see happen out of that person if they were chairman?
How are you going to turn this into a real party and the 80 fiefdoms you've got fighting each other on the state central committee? Do you have the balls to try to change that and eliminate 80% of them and get to a governing coalition of 16 and get rid of the 85? Because as long as you got 87 people there, all of them have their own little agendas and their own fiefdoms and their own power bases, you're never going to have anything that resembles a party.
Well, that would be good, because I think your prior caller, you got to be prepared for situations that she was calling about, and we're not prepared for those situations. So it'll be interesting. And I know one of your panelists is not up at this morning to hear that great question you would ask so that they could ponder it. But
what is the question?
Maybe he'll get up afternoon.
Jim, what is the question that you would ask if you were one of the panelists?
Oh, golly. That's a great question. I would, there's a lot of places to start, and that's, I guess the thing is, do you have a plan? It's kind of like they say in Weight Watchers. You didn't get there overnight, you're not going to lose it overnight. So what's your first day one step, concrete step, get back in control of things?
I like that. I'm going to recommend that they ask that. I'm not asking the questions. I'm keeping the time because that way we've got two moderators. Everybody's going to say I'm biased. And, I got the Patty Limons of the world out there already telling me that, it's a biased atmosphere when my role is keeping the clock. As long as I keep the clock, that's my role. But, no good deed goes unpunished.
Mentioning for the draft, aren't you?
No good deed, Jim, goes unpunished. Too funny. But we're going to have a massive audience for that. I want to give a shout out to Ken Reed, who's put this out, put out our graphics and everything. We're going to have a massive audience. And I think it's going to be fun. I love our two moderators, David Bodkins. I love him because, he's not committed and he's actually a member of State Central. So he's going to be voting. I think the results of the debate will help him make his decision. And then, of course, John Reed will be the other moderator. So we're leaving the questions up to them. We'll also take some phone call questions during this 2 hours. So everybody's going to have an opportunity to lay their vision out. And although this is decided by a handful of people, right, the 80 people on the State Central Committee, a lot of people have said, well, why are you doing this nationally? It's 80 people are going to make their mind up. Because I think all people should hear from all of the candidates. And it shouldn't be confined to a dark, to an 80-person smoke-filled, as they say, room, in some hotel. So even though that's going to be determining the chairman, I believe that everybody in the state of Virginia or across the country should have a vested interest in who the chairman is, because Virginia has gone downhill so fast. It's been such a disaster that somebody's got to step up and find a way to get us back on track.
Well, good for you for doing it. Last thing I want to ask you is spring training's just around the corner. How are your Stros going to do this year?
Well, we just got a Japanese pitcher. I think the third best Japanese pitcher in the Nippon League. I think that's going to help. Burroughs from Pittsburgh helps. We're still maybe I'd like to get one more starter, Zach Gallen. But look, I think I like our team. I always go into spring training optimistic. Our bullpen is still one of the best in the major leagues. We've still got a solid lineup and got a couple of young players. So I'm pretty excited about our team. What do you think about the Giants?
I'm always optimistic. I'm hoping Posey in the second year here and what they're doing with that Tennessee coach and everything will find some levels of consistency that, they could go on streaks and then they go on losing streaks. And, hope reigns eternal. My big focus, though, is going to be on the Maryland Terrapins. I got a feeling those guys are going all the way this year. They got this new kid pitching. It's going to be something.
Well, they told him they have these meetings, and so he had a good meeting in the fall, and he's going to have he's going to play a big role in their season. We're talking about my son, Joe Fredericks. He's actually going back today. He's got his first bullpen tomorrow, so took a couple weeks off, get his batteries charged, and get his arm ready to go. But I can say this about the Terrapins I saw in the fall. They hit. They're never going to be out of a game. And the little tiny stadium they play in, balls, understand, fly out of there. So they can, like, there was one game they played against St. John's or something. They were down 7-1 in the fifth inning. They won the game 15-10. So they're going to score, and it's going to be how the starting pitching holds up. But they really worked hard on getting the back end of their bullpen solid. Maryland led the Big Ten last year in blown leads after the seventh inning. So if they had won half those games, they probably would have had a shot for the regionals, but they lost a lot of games after the 6th and 7th inning. Hopefully that's going to show up and not going to happen. Now, Jim, who's your pick to win the college playoffs? Football.
Oh, I'm going with Indiana.
Yeah. They look unstoppable.
All the way. Indiana. And besides that, it'd be a great story. It'd almost be as good a story as John Fredericks going to New York and buying himself an apartment house.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I might as well just donate it to the city the way they're going there. All right, so that's your pick in Indiana, same as mine. I don't see anybody beating them unless, there's a game where they got 5 turnovers or something. Let's get to, although Oregon has a pretty good offense, so it should be interesting. Let's get to Super Bowl. Who are your 2 teams to get in the Super Bowl? Who's your pick?
I don't know. I don't like anybody. I'm mad. Can't pick one.
Seattle Steelers. That's my Super Bowl pick. Aaron Rodgers.
I like Seattle. That would be good for their quarterback. That he came out of Minnesota, went over there. Good for him.
Yeah, I think Seattle's the team to beat, no question about it. But I wouldn't count the Steelers out with that game that Aaron Rodgers had. I wouldn't count the Steelers out. They got a home game Monday. I think they win that. They beat the Texans, and they'll go from there. John Fredericks Media Network. Jim, thanks for the call. Jim in Henrico, Virginia, traveling through West Virginia, one of our 9 stations. We're going to be right back. Keep it right here on the John Fredericks Media Network.